Welcome back to the Retro Horror Academy. My name is Daniel Richardson, and yes, today we're going to be looking at the year in horror, 1911. Now, just like 1910, this literally only has one horror film that was released in the entire year of 1911. And of course, I'm talking about Dante's Inferno. Dante's Inferno is based on the Divine Comedy, a poem written by Dante himself. Motherfucker's an egomaniac. Just, look at me. I escaped from hell. I'm so cool. Anyways, no, this is actually pretty cool because this is Italy's very first feature-length film, and in turn, this is actually horror's very first feature-length film as well. So that's pretty cool. Another little side thing I read was that this is it's debatable, but this is also considered by some to be the very first blockbuster. Now I say it's debatable by some only because that's what the article said that I read, and I went to another site and it said the exact same thing, but it never said like what is opposing this argument. Like what other film was there that was considered a blockbuster first? It doesn't say. It just keeps saying that. Well, it's debatable if Dante's Inferno was actually the first blockbuster, but there's nothing in opposition of that. So I have no clue what's in contention here. So as far as I'm concerned, first blockbuster. In fact, when it played here in America, it actually grossed like $2 million. And that's $2 million in 1911 money. Like, I don't know what that is. That's the craziest sum, I'm assuming. I'll put it right down here. I'll magically put the little thing. Yeah, look at that. Look at that sum. That's insane. That's insane. So, yeah, no, that's pretty cool right there. Let's make this official. I'm sorry. I'm kind of just jumping ahead here. Number one ranked number one ranked horror film of 1911, as well as the recipient of the Golden Skull Award. Cue those title cards. So as I said before, Dante's Inferno is based on the Divine Comedy, written by Dante. It's actually based on the first part of that. So this movie itself, it's an epic. Like, it really is. I keep trying to think, like, what would it have been like to, like, go back in time and, like, literally see this thing for the very first time. You hear people talk about, seeing Star Wars in theaters for the first time. I don't just mean, like, today or what. No. Like, people who grew up in the 90s that watched it when it was released. I'm talking the motherfuckers who literally watched, Star Wars in the theaters back in the 70s. They never really seen a big, sci-fi action adventure space opera play out in front of them with all these special effects before, and here it is, bam! And I feel like, go back to like 1911. Granted, yes, the 400 Tricks of the Devil did come out previously, and it did have some very incredible special effects. But here, my God, you're seeing all kinds of things for the first time, all kinds of beasts and monsters and demons. You're seeing hell for the very first time, which, according to some scholars and some critics, this is like the best depiction of Dante's Inferno on the screen ever. Like, since 1911, they've yet to do another version that a lot of people will even say compares to this version, which to me also blows my mind. That's crazy, right? Like, no one's even attempted, or if they attempted, they haven't gotten close. I don't know, but that's what they say right there. Anyways, no, I feel like you get all these crazy stuff for the very first time, and so to kind of see all this on the big screen, yes, it maybe plays out more like fantasy, but it's the horror of seeing like Lucifer or people being tortured for the very first time that it had to be mind blowing. I mean, I can see why it grossed $2 million back then because you've never seen this before. So another little interesting nugget I found when I was looking this up was apparently, so I mentioned before it was the very first feature-length Italian film. It's the very first feature-length horror film, but it was not the very first feature-length film. Some has come before this. However, this is the very first feature-length film to play in its entirety here in the United States. So I guess how it went was back then in the good old, days of cinema, people just assumed that no American could sit through a long movie. And so anything that was considered feature length back then would get broken up and shown over the course of many weeks. So let's say if there was another film that, cause I guess runs in at like an hour and 2 minutes, hour 7 minutes, depending on which, cut you get, they would basically break up an hour movie into like, 15-minute segments. And then that's your month right there. Come back next week and watch the next 15 minutes. They played it very much like they do with movie serials. However, when they released Dante's Inferno, they're just like, nah, we're going to show the whole thing, so deal with it. And they did, and it turned out it was okay. However, they did show it with intermissions. There was a French actress or model, or both. In her memoir, she said something along the lines that she saw this when it came out in cinemas and she watched it, and she distinctly remembers 2 intermissions thrown in there. But still, yet first time you get to see something like this on the big screen, and you're watching the entire epic play out, from start to finish. This was my very first time watching this. I actually watched it just prior to get prepared for this video, and I enjoyed it for what it is. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was very interesting. I feel like my only slight complaint is, but I've never read the Divine Comedy, so I don't know, maybe this is very close to it, but like the description is, it's Dante, being led by Virgil, is trying to escape from hell, or the 9 circles of hell, to get back to his beloved Beatrice. Here, he's trying to escape shit. Like, it looks like literally they're just taking a leisure walk through hell, and Virgil's just kind of like, over here on the left, they're torturing souls over there, and over here on the right, they're in a big frozen lake up to their necks and have to headbutt each other because reasons. And hey, there's Lucifer over here. We're gonna climb down his side and get out of here in a second. Like, it never feels like for a second that Dante's in any kind of peril or anything. Like a couple times there's a couple scenes where it's like, oh, someone came out of the river, tried to attack him, but didn't. Or hey, they may get turned to stone, but they don't. It just, I don't know, it just seems like, it's just kind of funny because it just seems like, it really is like a tour guide's, tour through hell. Like, you're literally just kind of, first day in hell, let me give you a tour. That's what Dante's Inferno is. But that aside, I think it has a really cool story, and I do like seeing like the different, sections, the circles of hell, if you will, and why people, what people are being punished for, and how they're being punished. So I really dug that whole thing. I recommend you guys check it out. If anything else, just to watch a piece of horror history. Again, first feature-length horror film. You gotta check that out. But not only that, it's based on a classic as well. So boom, you got that going for it. I will recommend this though, and I'm sure there's multiple versions. There actually is multiple versions on YouTube. But like the version I watched was like literally silent. Like not just because it's a silent film. I mean, there's like no audio whatsoever. Just literally just moving pictures the entire time. What you're seeing back here right now, that's how I was watching it. It's literally just no sound, just whatever. However, I hear that back in the 2000s or the 2010s, somewhere in there, they released a version. They restored the picture a little bit. Get kind of Criterion. I don't know if it's Criterion or not, but I'm saying it's kind of a Criterion re-release. But they did it with a Tangerine Dream soundtrack. So, for you Near Dark fans out there, check out this with a Tangerine Dream score. There you go. I'll check it out. I honestly haven't seen that version. I would like. This is a movie that I actually like, so I'll probably go out and buy it later on the road. Yeah, I'll definitely check out the version that has a better score to it, so a more modernized score, if you will. So, guys, that is all I have. That was 1911. We're talking about Dante's Inferno. It definitely earns its Golden Skull Award. So, on behalf of the Retro Horror Academy, I'm Daniel Richardson, and you're dismissed.